Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of City Hall Live. I am Joe Abeta, and as you can see, sitting with me in our classic set is City Councilor from District 2, Carol Romero-Wirth. How you doing today, Councilor?
I am good. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things to talk about.
Yes, we do.
I know you've been making rounds around the radio stations and getting some information out about this upcoming election.
Yes, I have.
So there is an amendment, right, that's going on that's on the ballot coming up November 6th. That's talking about our election dates that they're going to be fixed to November. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So on your ballot is a question to ask whether the voters would approve amendments to the city charter. Mm-hmm. And the effect of voting for those amendments will allow the city to opt into the state's local election act and move our city elections from March to November.
Okay.
In doing, there's a number of reasons why that's a good idea. One, it consolidates elections and gets voters in the habit of just voting in November.
Yeah.
You know, so we have so many elections, local elections, school board elections, you know, mutual domestic elections. We have all these elections, and they're spread out throughout the calendar. And so the state legislation, the State Local Election Act, is trying to consolidate our elections and get voters in the habit of voting every November. And that way we can focus on the substance.
So there's not, it's kind of, I don't know, is voter fatigue the right thing, right? If you're having a vote in March and then vote in November and then February,
yeah,
and then it just keeps on going and going and going.
It may be fatigue, it may be confusion. You know, it's you get to election and you're like, you got to go vote. And you're like, well, wait, what am I voting for?
Yeah.
And so this way, in odd numbered years in November would be nonpartisan elections.
Okay.
In even numbered years in November would be partisan elections.
Okay.
And you just know every November you got to go vote.
Okay.
And you can concentrate much more on the substance.
And I know that one of the things is the city councilors, right? They'll be the ones that are, when this goes into effect, it'll affect the ones that are
Currently sitting.
Yeah. That's that 4 of them, right, will be, or is it 4?
Yes.
4 of them will be I guess shorted 2 months or something like that.
2.5 months. So there are all the current elected officials.
Okay.
So it's the city councilors, the mayor, and the municipal judge.
Okay.
That this will affect, and we in the ordinance said that we would shorten our terms by 2.5 months. Because what happens is you'll be elected in November, and you'll be sworn in the end of the year to take office January 1st.
Okay.
So normally we are elected in March and sworn in a week later.
The next week.
Yeah, right. And then, you know, you're in a city council meeting 3 days later, and then you're in budget hearings, you know, 2 weeks later.
Yes.
And it's just crazy. So the idea here is that we'll shorten the terms of the current elected officials by about 2.5 months. And then we will also provide for a proper transition for all of the elected officials. So you'll be elected in November, and you won't take office until January 1st. You'll have time to get oriented. If you're the mayor, you'll have time to put a team in place, come up with your first policy proposals. We will all be better situated in terms of budget hearings, which our budget has to be sent over to the state, to the Department of Finance and Administration in the spring. Because it goes into effect July 1st. So this is a good government proposal.
Yes. And in the end, it really does, you know, it affects the community in a very good way because, again, you think about it, folks, you're running for an office.
Yes.
And as you know, the city probably isn't anything like you thought it was going to be when you are, now that you've been in what, a year already? 2 years?
No, 7 months.
7 months? You've only been around, oh gosh.
Can you believe it?
Okay.
Time flies.
Okay, so take yourself back to this time last year when
I was just announcing.
Yeah, when you were just announcing. Is the city anything, I'm talking about the operations, everything like that, is it anything that you thought it was going to be? And maybe you thought, yes, broad brush I did, but the details, holy moly, it's crazy, right? I mean, for you to be thrown into that, anybody to be thrown into this.
It's a big job.
It is a big job. And to learn the ropes and make a decision about budget within 30 days of you becoming a city councilor or a mayor. It's rough.
It's a big lift.
Yes.
For sure.
No,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
There's a learning curve. You're like, holy moly, a lot of reading, right?
There's a lot coming at us. There's a lot to process. There's a lot to respond to. There's a lot to do. It's all good, but
Yeah.
it would be good. It's a good government proposal. I will tell you that the City Council passed a resolution in support of this. The New Mexican endorsed it.
Yes.
The Albuquerque Journal-North has endorsed it. So it's
good government.
It is good
Really,
government,
it
yeah.
really is. And me being a city employee, you know, for a long time now, and being a part of numerous elections and having city councilors come in and seeing them, you know, getting elected one week and the next week they're being sworn in, and then they're at a city council meeting and they're having to make decisions at these city council meetings that were made by their previous colleagues. And you're like, well, hold on a minute here. How did this whole process happen, and what's the history of what I'm about to vote on? So,
yeah, and
yes,
you know
very
what?
good.
I think I just misspoke. The Albuquerque Journal-North has not yet endorsed the charter amendment changes. I'm actually meeting with them later today.
Okay.
This morning, they endorsed the regional transit gross receipts tax continuation, which I
Gotcha.
also want to talk to you about.
And we'll get to that.
So anyway, just to clarify.
So on the ballot, what do people have to? It's pretty clear on the ballot. I appreciate the way it was written out on that ballot, because it says for the amendments or against the amendments, I believe is what it says on the ballot.
Correct.
So that's really cool. So you're like saying, well, what am I going against? Am I against it or am I for? What exactly?
Right,
So it's not,
and the way the ballot amendment reads doesn't speak to the fact that you're moving the election, because we did that by ordinance, so it's a little complicated, but the effect of voting for the charter amendments will move the election from March to November.
Gotcha.
So you won't find that language explicitly on the ballot question.
Okay.
But just so people know, that's what you're voting for.
and that's great. That's coming up November 6th, which is
And you can vote now.
you can vote early. That's right.
That's right.
So vote early.
Voting now. So
Avoid
get
the
out and
long
vote.
lines, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
go out
Get
there and
get
you
out
walk
and
right
vote.
in and walk right out. So that's good.
Yep.
Okay, so next, this is also on the ballot, the
Yes.
regional transit gross receipts tax, right?
Right, and that's a continuation of a current tax.
Okay, so it's not a new tax.
It's not a new tax.
Okay.
It's not an increase in the tax. We're just keeping it the same. So it's an
Okay.
eighth of a cent, which is about 2.5 cents on $20.
Okay,
And it provides critical transportation services, not only in Santa Fe, but in northern New Mexico. The North Central Regional Transit District Board, which I sit on as the city's representative, is the entity that provides this, the blue buses, people may know them as.
yeah, you see them around town.
Exactly. And so there are 25 fixed routes in northern New Mexico.
Okay.
23 are fare-free. This gross receipts tax provides a little over $1 million of regional transit gross receipts tax to our Santa Fe trails, to our service. It provides routes out to the Santa Fe Community College, to the IAIA campus, to 599 Rail Runner, the number 2 Cerrillos route, the Santa Fe pickup, and shuttle services for things like Folk Art Market, Music on the Hill, Spanish Market, Indian Market, Zozobra, and of course our favorite holiday, Farolito Walk.
Yes, exactly. And what it does is on a daily thing, on a daily use, is it makes it gives accessibility to those folks living out in the rural areas, not in the metro area, to be able to come into town, be able to get to places like college, go to the Santa Fe Community College,
and jobs.
and jobs
Yep.
and stuff. So it really is a big service here in northern New Mexico. So
And it provides 68% of the revenue for the regional transit district. So
Yes.
this is really an important gross receipts revenue source. And again, it's a continuation, not a new tax, not an increased tax. There was a sunset provision. All we're doing is taking that away because this has become such a critical service in northern New Mexico.
And if you think about it, everyone's saying, well, I want to see what these taxes are going to do if we're going to see some kind of an effect that's going to affect the community. I need to see my tax dollars at work. Well, this is your tax dollars at work. There's it's proof that and people do use it. So it is a great service. And like you said, for big events, when you don't feel like you want to park and get into the traffic of having to leave somewhere early or whatever the pressures of it, this allows that service where you don't have to worry about that. You can comfortably get out of your car, get on the transportation to wherever you got to go, then take your time leaving, get on stress-free, and then it takes you back to your car and you're able to go home with no traffic. So
Yep.
it's
And,
a
you know,
good
it
thing.
provides transportation for people who don't have another means of transportation.
Yes.
It provides commuters with options. It provides people with disabilities with options. There's a big environmental piece to this in terms of, you know, getting people out of their cars. We're going to need to do more and more of that.
Yes.
So we want a strong public transportation sector, and this is one of the vital pieces.
Yeah,
of that
absolutely. And this is on the ballot also as well, right?
This is on the ballot. You're approving a continuation
Okay.
of this tax. And again, it serves 4 counties and the 8 northern pueblos and the Hickory Apache Nation. So, and the 4 counties are Santa Fe, Taos, Los Alamos, and Rio Arriba.
And this is not a new tax, folks. It's a continuation. So
1/8 of a cent.
Yes. So you will
two
not
and a-
see any increase in
No,
anything.
2.5 cents on $20. So, and again, it provides 68% of the revenue for the North Central Regional Transit District. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
And this is the one that the New Mexican and the Journal have endorsed.
Okay, so we got that.
So
All
the
right.
New Mexican just this morning endorsed this. So
Great.
Anyway, that's my confusion on
No,
the first one.
That's fine. That's fine. That's awesome. Okay, and then so lastly,
Yeah, one last thing.
and this happens today.
Yeah, so
Yes.
the city and the county water advisory boards, they're
Okay.
made up of citizens.
Okay.
I chair the city one. I'm working with County Commissioner Anna Hamilton.
Okay.
And we're going to have a joint meeting of the city and county's water advisory committees. And
Okay.
that's going to be here at the Convention Center from 4 to 6 in the Coronado Room.
Okay.
And we're kicking off a conversation, a dialogue about water issues in this area, how we can continue to work together and you know, kind of build some common understanding, figure out how we might collaborate, work together, build trust, because I think our future is going to demand this.
Yeah, and we've worked well with the county before as far as projects go. I know the Buckman
Right.
direct diversion project,
Correct.
huge project. It looked like something out of a Terminator movie because it's just so complex, the facility out there. But it's one of those projects that the city and the county did right.
Yeah, it's
And they work
providing.
with Las Campanas too as well. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just amazing if if you haven't gone out there. It's
Yep.
just something. You're like, I can't believe that this is in our community. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, it's providing critical water.
Yes.
And that's, as everyone knows, you know, we've been in drought. It's a nice rainy morning this morning, which we are grateful for.
Yes.
But we have been in drought. We may be in the beginning of a prolonged drought,
Yes.
certainly with climate change. We've got to be looking for ways, and Santa Fe has been a leader. You know, the city has been a leader in diversifying our sources of water. It's been a leader in conservation.
Yes.
So we want to hold that place, and so this meeting today is to start a conversation that helps us continue to be out in front.
Yeah, and it's great to have a conversation when you're not in the middle of a crisis or something like
Exactly.
that, right? So it's just
Exactly.
like hey,
Yeah.
let's talk about this. I know that things are good right now. They're not, you know, we're not going through any kind of a water conservation crisis. So let's just talk about things on how we can prepare to make it a better situation for Santa Fe when I don't want to say a rainy day because that would be right, if we're in
The
drought.
metaphor doesn't work.
Yeah, on a sunny day, a hot baking sunny day, let's prepare for that. But
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, we are technically still in drought, but we're not feeling it acutely like we were in the spring. And so I think it's just again, a good opportunity to figure out how we continue to be out front, how we work with our regional partners, and you know, what we do, how we find ways to collaborate. And,
Yeah.
you know, certainly I think one of the things that might be a first area is just doing more conservation and partnering with the county on you know, continuing those efforts and keeping us out in front.
Gotcha. And then this meeting is public.
It is a
correct?
public meeting.
Yeah, and it's at the Community Convention Center.
It is in the Coronado Room, 4 to
Okay.
6 today.
Okay.
And the city's Policy Advisory Committee, so the city's Water Conservation Committee, these are the technical names, and the county's Water Policy Advisory Committee are meeting, and those are made up of citizens who've been appointed to serve on those committees.
Okay.
Again, I chair the city side, Anna Hamilton is helping me on the county side.
Okay.
I don't think she serves on that committee. I believe the chair is Mary Helen Fallingstad.
Okay.
And, but we're all working together to make this happen. So.
Gotcha. Well, that's great, and that is open to the public, folks, and that is today. And it's, if you watch this, because the show's going to be playing a lot more, other than just on Wednesday, October 24th. But the meeting is today from 4 to 6 on October 24th,
Yeah,
Wednesday, October 24th at the
point.
Convention Center. So don't show up on Friday saying, "Hey, I saw the show on Friday morning," and you show up and then nobody's there. It's
And
just
it's already happened.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, that's
quinceañera
no
going
good.
on in there. It would not be a good thing.
Yeah.
So well, I'm sure the quinceañera would think, you can good food and everything and
Little party
celebration.
crashing,
Yes, but Councilor Romero-Wirth will not be in there. So
Yes, that's true.
yes, okay, great.
Good point.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Thanks.
much for
Yeah.
coming on today. Appreciate it.
yeah.
I know you got a lot going on today, but you wanted to make time for us. So I really, really appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
get
on
out and
talking
vote,
about this.
everyone.
Yes.
Early voting's happening now, so
Awesome.
it's really important.
Well, great. Thank you, Councilor, for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah.
Want to thank Christina McCandless. She is the jack of all trades today, while Adrian Avitia is on hiatus. So I appreciate her running the board and directing today. Folks, thank you for joining us. Have a great week. Have a safe week. Adios.